man, that means we're gonna be starting that case tomorrow. That case. Ooh, are we ready for a very long but a very good case tomorrow? Oh, that means I get to see that cutscene at the end of that one too. Oh my god, I've been doing so well avoiding that cutscene. Because I want to fully experience it, the localized version of it, without knowing nothing of how all the voice actors approached it. There is a lot of good stuff in that case, though. But I feel like that case should have been split in two. 13th of August, 10:41 a.m., Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants Antechamber 3.
I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Rei.
You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone.
No, that's not it at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence. That you stand by me to the last. I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato! I deserve it! No, in fact, throw me to the floor! No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets!
Okay. I'm no better, you know.
Oh!
Even though in my heart I knew that you'd pull the knife blade from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you.
Susato!
I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be by your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer.
Oh, no.
I think this situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Yes, Father, that fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Rei.
Yes?
Can you find it in your heart to forgive me?
Oh, Susato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now.
Oh, that smile. Oh, Rei. Her smile is so cute.
I was so scared, you know. When it happened, I didn't know what was going on. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison.
Well now, whatever do you mean?
And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes.
And you were the only people in the hut at the time.
That's right. Just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that.
A great mystery indeed.
I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up.
It will be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you said you saw is true. Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order.
Yes.
I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now.
The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it.
Oh, I see. Yes, without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin.
Chemical reagent?
I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case. Chemical reagent, a special indicator solution for a new poison under development by my father's team. It's been created in strict secrecy and is only in my father's laboratory. What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet.
It's the newspaper article. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. I'm wondering how the information got out, given that it was government secret. It was all the English woman's doing! What? It was when the professor and Soseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. That so-called English lady swanned in and without any compunction said to the Professor Mikatoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guest would love to hear about your work on that substance there."
It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Soseki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction.
So then, Soseki-san knew about the poison?
Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too.
This Many Memo-san. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there.
Well, he's clearly there since he took a picture. Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there.
Oh?
A known criminal had been given commission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Soseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably he posted it anonymously to the police. Yes, that must be what happened. Counsel! We just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed into the courtroom at once. Yeah, they said swan. I was like, I see what they did there. It's time to steel ourselves once again, then. Defense Attorney, Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Yes. Ray has put her faith in me now and told me everything. So I can't let her down. And I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day.
August, 11:30 a.m., Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 1. I hereby call this court to order, as we reconvene to continue the trial of Ray Membami. Prosecutor Aoshi, have you summoned the new witness?
Before I address the question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share, and you look too pleased about it.
Oh?
What news? And why does he look so happy about it?
During the recess, with the collaboration of Professor Mikatoba's laboratory at Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Mr. Zelbrett's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
I had the region delivered to police headquarters by rickshaw, so it would be there in good time. But judging by the man's swagger, I fear we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable.
And, counsel, what were the results?
This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade.
What? Are you sure about that?
I would stake the reputation of the police on it.
Armed with the Regent, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake. Murder weapon. Small knife from the scene of the crime that was found in the victim's back. No trace of poison was found on the blade.
In short, the accused people's excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed.
That still doesn't explain her eyes. What happened to them? Okay, so there's no poison on the knife, but I think there's still poison because how do you explain what happened to her eyes there?
Now, the prosecution is ready to call the new witness.
Here he comes! Ah, the newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well, officer. Bring in the witness. No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case, how could the toxin have entered the victim's body? Hello, sir.
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
He's here, guys.
Write in many memo of Show You News. I'm what people like to call a journal.
What's a journal, Father? Do you know? It's simply a contraction of journalists.
I'm here where the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch those scoops so they're in print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. The nice guy of news.
Ah, his theme. Oh, so, it was you who took this photograph, was it? She just got so flustered.
Well, what are we here?
I'm sorry?
Oh, brace yourself, people. Many Memo sends a scoop in the offing. Female student up to foul play defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will lap this up. We'll set it above the fold at 72 point in 5-leg format for the morning edition.
Huh?
Right then. Let's start with your name.
Oh, it's Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Do. Next, what made you become a lawyer?
I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose. Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see. I just borrowed Kazuma-sama's dream for a while.
By the way, my name is Taketsuchi Ouchi. That's Taketsuchi Ouchi. The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court, my objections strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart.
Do they really?
No, the readers won't buy that. What?
Witness?
Yes.
What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for taking this picture. No one cares. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a journo if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that now, would I? Sometimes stories call out to me. Sometimes I have to chase them down. But either way, you've got to be fast. Fast legs to run with and a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't note it down, I always say. That's what I call my many memoism. Many memoism? Many memoism.
Many memoism? Yes, I remember your face. We met the day when you were interviewing myself and Soseki-san.
Yes, right, that was me. Many memo again.
But you were supposed to be going back to the Show You News office after our meeting.
But the scoop is I didn't, because the Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalist interest.
Miss Brett's words?
A criminal, left to do as she pleases, just because she happens to be a British citizen? It's horse dung. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. The Supreme Court's ruling aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns. You say your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play. Dang, this guy. Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words she said in my mini memo pad. Many memo pad. Tongue twisters, everyone. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here. Right, here goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket. The people need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after them. To get the woman's story so I could hammer her in the press. Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph. Kazuma would be so, like, twitching. Oh yes, I saw it with my very own journal eyes. From start to finish. Through the viewfinder of my trusty camera. Thank you, Many Memo-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the events surrounding Miss Brett's death. The camera never lies. The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through. The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journal spirit burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I whipped out my camera ready to click. I pulled apart the rough weaves of one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot. Reed screens, you say? Right! You can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. The hot walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat. And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up. Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut? Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish. And you say that you took the photographs through a gap in one of the screens. Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap and hi, Lewis! Alright, I'm assuming you're finished with Mega Man. Hello, welcome Lewis and everyone. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was a gamble of a lifetime. A tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose. Did the ground fire burn you again? Or was it okay? The evil has been defeated. Understood. Alright, well, I'm in the middle of trying to beat this other evil, which is this crazy guy. Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's the Memi-Memoism in a nutshell. At last. It would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. Do we? Is he genuine? The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict. Aw, thanks for the sub, Lewis. No. I mean, yes. Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question. What question? Exclusive news. A startling photograph. All the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published? Oh, that's right. God, this guy is so much. I'm going to die from the tongue twisters, apparently. It seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood. Ha! More pathetic excuses. Hi, KV, it's your character. I have to read for him now. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination. I'm assuming you want to reprise the role of Mr. Well, now he's Many Memo in English. He is now Many Memos. He's not Mommy Mame, he's Many Memos. Writing many memos. There's more to this reporter than meets the eye.
He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. Besides his suspenders. Many men. The camera never lies. All right, I'm gonna have to press everything, right? Yes.
Hold it!
What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place? Call it journal instinct. Can you think of a better reason? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because as well as being a proven criminal, the person inside was a young woman. I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people. He's painting the journal as a voyeur. It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without the woman's knowledge. Valid concern. Nope, you've got it all wrong, little student boy. Sorry? Journal is a shortened is a contraction of journalists. He just says journal instead of journalists. To my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoops know no gender, man or woman. It's all news. That's not even many memoism, it's basic journalism. If only the courtroom was as indiscriminate. I can't read because of the freaking names. Right, so if that's all buttoned up, can we move on? Tell the court then, witness. What sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut? A sight that vindicated my journal instinct, that's what. When I pulled back the reeds, I could see it all as clear as day.
Hold it!
So you actually saw Mr. Memami-san... Ray's name is really hard. I don't know why. Memami-san entering the hut. Like, Hari's new name is hard. Yep, and she was raging. Raging like my journal spirit. And the argument you mentioned was what that about? What was that about exactly? You stole it. I didn't steal it. That kind of thing. Talking about the poison, I suppose. The student girl walked right up to the English woman and really started laying it into her. I mean, if she laid into her anymore, there would have been eggs. The man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. Ooh! But the student rantings fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time. He really ought to work on his smileys first, though, to be honest. Similes. Similes, not smileys. Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mightily angry.
And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me.
Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film. Okay, sir. Pulled out the knife, throwing the English woman to... Wait, what? She was already... What? Huh? Okay.
Hold it!
Oh, how did this case go again? Do you swear before the court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place? I meant similes, not smileys. Ha! The precise moment. I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out, from start to finish.
I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed.
Right you are. It's all here in my many memo pad. Many memo pad, many memo pad. Say that 3 times. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the English woman was on this stool at the back of the hut here.
Yes, the accused's own testimony confirmed that.
She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly. Is what I have noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. Oh. Then, the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The English woman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. What you described is a grim crime indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what Memi-Memoism says. Okay, sir. He's so much. Beach hut plan. A plan of the layout of the small beach hut where the victim was found. By the way, Memi-Memo-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the scene, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film? Journals have to be observers. We can't get involved. That's our raison d'etre. Raison d'etre. Oh, my honey. God. So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all? Boy, KV, you can have fun with him. Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside, looking in. Sir, you should probably help. And that's something to be proud of, is it? Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor. I think the witness' last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Okay, so I did eventually pronounced it right. Father, what are you... I will grant the defense his request. Memi-Memo-san, you will supplement your formal testimony with the affirmation statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of Memi-Memoism. But I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless. I am very close because Memi-Memoism is so close to Mami-Mome. I keep wanting to try to say his Japanese name. I never once set foot in the hut nor spoke with the English woman. I was there only as an observer. Hold it! Really? You didn't set foot inside the hut at all? Are you quite sure about that? I think you may have the wrong impression of me. We're talking about a murder scene here. My nerves were stretched to breaking point already. Oh, I see. You were scared. Maybe I did have the wrong impression of you, yes. It was all I could do to stifle a scream and hold my hand steady enough to snap the shot. You really should have summoned help before thinking of your camera. Memi-Memoism and humanism don't always agree, sir. And most of the time in those instances, Memi-Memoism comes on the top. Me too, Ryotaro. As a sculptor of stories, sometimes I have to be cruel for my art. Yes, that's spot on. He was playing Pokemon Snap! Surely he's making all this up. Okay, but what am I presenting there? He claims to have spied the whole affair from start to finish. If true, his testimony is devastating. But it does seem as though he's holding something back, doesn't it? If that's how you feel, I suggest that you trust your instincts and press him on everything he said. Okay, but I need to present something now, as you've no doubt done many times before, in your role as judicial assistant. Yes, I have. I've seen witnesses like this pressed often. I know exactly what to do. Okay, what am I'm presenting something here, and I'm trying to figure out what. I never set foot in the hut. That's a lie. I'm trying to figure out how to explain this lie. You never set foot in the hut. I don't think... Wait. Do I present the pen? Is this where I... Hold on, is this where I present the pen? Hold on. I'm saving the game just in case. Are you... Mami-Mome many memos and memo many memos of the many memo memorized. I hate it. I'm sorry. I hate that. Am I presenting the pen? Objection! No. Your Excellency, I must object to the witness' last statement. And the evidence you thrust in my direction is supposed to prove your point. I apologize. Also, thank you for the bits. I did present it rather more forcefully than I intended to. You will kindly refrain from these overtly exuberant outbursts, Counsel, be they verbal or material. You really put me in my place there.
Do I present the picture? I will present the picture.
Objection!
Okay, fine. I don't know what you want, game. Okay, hold on. Let me look at this again. Can I not? Oh my god, okay. Do I have to no, I can't even re-examining that anymore. What the heck am I presenting then, sir?
Objection!
Hold on, I'm playing the game of I do not know what I'm presenting. Ugh. Do I have to check the pen again? I gotta check the pen again? I thought I got everything off the pen. I thought I can't examine this thing. I can only examine this thing, which I've already done. It's gonna come to the point where I'm gonna have to present all the evidence. I'm usually know what we're doing. I know what we gotta do because this pen has his initial, and I have to prove. If I'm proving that he stepped foot in there, the photo shows that the woman is holding the pen, his pen, and I'm trying to figure out how do I get to that step because apparently this game wants me to do something else, and I'm sitting here like not sure what it wants me to do at the moment. No, I can't do that. Oh, God, come on. Do I examine the knife? Ah, yes, this must be the victim's blood. Oh dear. Blood is never a pretty sight, is it? I'm having to fight the urge to run it under a hot tap and get it clean. You've always been facetious about cleanliness, haven't you? I think this is something else, Father. Okay. Nothing on the knife. How did he never step foot? I don't know what I'm supposed to
Objection!
Oh my god. Oh my god, this game. I know what I need to do, but I don't know what I have to present. I hate this sometimes. What do you want me to do, sir? Okay, fine. Time to resort the Japanese guide. Wait. I did present the pen. What? I was right. Why isn't it... What? Hold on a minute. Yes, I am presenting to the right thing. Why is it not... Okay, I am correct. I'm supposed to present the pen. I never once set foot. I was there only as... Okay, please add this statement to your testimony. Yeah, I never entered the shack, and I'm supposed to present the fountain pen. So why is it not working? I don't want to trigger story mode because then I won't get the accolade. I don't... Sir, why? Do I have to look at this again? No. Wait, the tip! Hold on! This thing! Oh man, this game! There's some sort of emblem here, look! But it isn't a Yume University one. It must belong to some other organization, I suppose. A business of some kind. But that would seem to imply that the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray. Oh, it's always something. It's always a small detail. Okay. Now you got it, you stupid... this game. Manny Memo-san, until now I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Shoyu News on my arm. In a way, that's more Manny Memoism. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. What are you suggesting with those criminatory words, Counsel? Mommy, Many Memos. I thought I checked everything! Many Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? At least I was on the right track. The game was like, oh, by the way, you need to check this too. This pen was found on at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. What are you? If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. RM.
Yes! Thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused. Remember me.
Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also RM?
No!
Write in Many Memo. RM. That's horse dung. Can't you see? One of the central tenets of Many Memoism is being a pencil user. But you got ink on your hand, hello? And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, there is a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung! Many Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut? Giselle, bitch.
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse.
Exactly. Show News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with initials RM as there are stars in the night sky. I actually remember that line in the Japanese version. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there is another clue. The clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is. It does? In that case, counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies. Of course, Your Excellency. Oh, yes, okay, the stamp thingy. The clue on this fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner's identity is... Ding, 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 ding. There's some sort of emblem here, look. But it isn't a Yume University one. Oh, I have to present the thing. Boo. Got it. Thank you. I'm gonna take a drink of water now, because Many Memo is ruining my mouth. Okay. As well as the initials, there is also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize, Many Memo-san. Goodness me. It's the emblem of the Shoyu News. In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Shoyu News, whose initials are RM. Suddenly the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Many Memo-san, how do you respond? No! Order! Explain yourself, witness! So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets. I've used nothing but honest tactics. I mean, she's not wrong. All right then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded, I, a Shoyu News reporter, on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman. God, I love his theme too. An interview?
You never mentioned this before!
When exactly was this? As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. It couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. I wonder.
Actually, this theme would go really well with a kazoo. But it came to nothing. And as many memoirs said, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. However insignificant you deemed it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it. Yes, all right. But on one condition. Condition? In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsumi-san. Soseki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. And brace yourselves, because it's not a harmless one, it's big. Man, just leave Soseki out of this. Many memoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. Yeah, I was gonna say, Soseki's a cat. Very well, I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand.
Soseki-san, hiding something?
Soseki's just like, why am I here? This is a witness's secret. I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Big doubt. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many memoism demands I reveal it now. You mean to say the victim? The victim regained consciousness. And when she did, you decided to ask her a question? That's, true, yes. He did. And that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. Soseki's just, why? This is preposterous! Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you Yoko hack? It wasn't even in a concert. It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did pose the withering English Rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. The court must and will know the truth.
Absolutely, Your Excellency. The reporter is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut?
Okay.
Hold it! You asked her for an interview, you say?
Well, of course I did. I wanted to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year.
About the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life.
That's not the way I phrase it. Many memoism calls for straight talking. Why did you murder Dr. Wilson, is how I put it to her. We still don't know why about that, that's true.
Yes, that sort of talking is as straight as a ruler.
Ask every question as if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant, I say. It's the best way. A veteran at the paper taught me that.
And how did Miss Brett answer?
With one simple phrase. Mystery is a woman's charm. Whew, that told me. So I waltzed right out of there. I don't really believe you, sir.
Really? Something about that doesn't quite seem to fit together.
Leave every room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall, I say. It's the best way. A veteran at the paper taught me that.
Hold it! That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett had just turned you away.
Persistent wins the prize. Any memoist will tell you about that. Let them think you've left. Then just when they lower their guard, that's when you swoop in for the scoop. And the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this telling photograph. Though I'm sure the young Yoko student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence.
Actually, it's thanks to that photograph that we managed to identify this witness.
And now that you found me, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I've got nothing to hide. Doubt.
I'm sure.
Please, do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say. Try to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm going to tell it.
Hold it!
And Soseki-san remained behind the hut.
That's right, yep. Our author friend here was a blabbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to toes, mustache twitching, eyes bulging. What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that taunted me while traveling abroad, back behind baleful bars. They'll be coming for me, surely. That's all I could think. I felt as though I was gasping for air, drowning in a sea of cold sweat.
Poor Soseki-san. His experiences in London have scarred him deeply.
As the world seems to close in around me, I quietly recited a prayer to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity. The end is coming for me, surely.
No sutras are to resound in my courtroom, please.
And now, we come to the crucial part. That's when it happened.
Hold it!
What question? What exactly did he say?
Well now, you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Riderman? Ah! Out with it, you Yoko hack! What did he say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman? Well, in truth, I'd been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see?
Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man.
But then all of a sudden, from the little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air.
Ray.
I ran up the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. And as soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan, a moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin!
But what did you ask her, Soseki-san?
I asked her, who did this to you?
That's kind of important. Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond?
She didn't! She said nothing in response! But...
When in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or reticence. Reticence? I demand that you amend your testimony. Okay, then what did she do instead?
I will!
Poor Soseki.
I asked her, who did this to you? But she never replied.
Hold it!
So you tried to find out who the culprit was.
He who asks a question is a fool for a minute. He who does not remains a fool forever. And having been labeled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Better to be a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever. However, you've indicated that the victim failed to respond, is that correct? I know why. I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stupid mustache. Because I'm Japanese.
Oh dear. Soseki-san has really developed a dislike for the English, it seems. Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised at his xenophobia.
Oh, they said it.
But the Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all,
Did she, Mr. Writer-Man? Huh? Well, yes. All right, she did respond in a manner of speaking, I suppose. The swan did it! She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant. Huh? Hold it! Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant?
Soseki-san, is that really true?
It's not easy to stand there and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, and the student's girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut. Which was, it can't be denied, in the direction the student girl who stands accused today. I have something to present that could say otherwise.
No.
Soseki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But, fiddlesticks, I say! This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Yes, of course, the Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. Good night, DG Shu, and I hope school does not stress you out. To somewhere at the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all.
You mean that memory of events? You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear?
Yes, that's it! Unclear! I'm very, very unclear! Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavers slightly. But there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It is now abundantly clear that no one else besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime. I am inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial. No! Let me present something. No! Indeed, no! The headline writing itself. The headline's writing itself. Dashing Laura's hopes dashed. 92 points across the whole page. We'll do extra addition. This is a serious blow, Susato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence. The judge will give his ruling, and the trial will be over.
But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know how the crime was committed yet.
Impossible, though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need. No, I don't think so.
Ray gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty, but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question.
I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add. So, the gallant Yoko student's luck finally runs out. I can't say I'm surprised. In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter.
This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim? I know how.
Objection!
Ooh. Get him! Get him!
Now the question is, will it accept my order of evidence presenting? Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your
adjudication for the time being. Oh? To what end, counsel? The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
Objection! An alternative theory. Ha! None exist.
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime.
What?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time by mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction! Fantasy!
Is this real life? Anyway, is this just fantasy? Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, counsel, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryotaro Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed?
Take that!
Okay, the music stopped. Naruhodo-san would never give up, and I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here. Are you mad, counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut.
What?
Order, order, order!
But student lawyer Naruhodo-san, Esquire! That makes no sense at all!
You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about. I can swear to that. That's because you're the suspicious one.
Obviously! If the culprit had been outside the hut, there is no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut.
Actually, Prosecutor Ouchi, there is a way. And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
You're bluffing! You're bluffing, you yokel!
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more guidance, counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut?
Take that!
The original photographic print of the crime scene. Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing!
Are you sure, Ouchi? Maybe you need new glasses. I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on earth this photograph is the trace of the stabbing which you claim took place from outside the hut? Do 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 do. Look closely just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds.
No! I can't see any such thing!
You need new glasses, Ouchi. It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you expected. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary. Yes. And the true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. And of everyone present at the scene, there is only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Write in Many Memo-san. It could only have been you.
No!
Objection!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume as part of this farcical scenario that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, of course not.
We're not?
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death.
Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on the stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable.
A stool?
Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the read screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool. My word! So, in fact, the victim was killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen. Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively, but then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Memami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. Man, I've run out of emote slots, unfortunately. I need more emote slots if you want me to get more emotes. By your silence, Memo-san. Did I say Mommy Momi, by the way? I swear to God. I take it that you don't deny the charge.
This is absurd!
I don't know if I said Many Memo or Mommy Momi. That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Memami-san, is innocent of the crime. We did it! Oh, thank goodness. Did we? I finally made him cave. I must say, I've never been more proud.
No, this can't be. The Aochi clan can't. What of my growth? My growth of hope? It wasn't all an apparition. I can't accept this. I won't.
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my final— Hold it! Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut through the read screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfect logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. That is a cool pose, sir. What are you talking about? Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed because of the dirt you dug up. Huh? What? Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. He's gonna bring up the poison. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course.
The poison?
Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed. Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely. Yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood. Uh-oh. The return of Ouchie!
Ah, how refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely! It matters not a jot who stabbed whom in whose back and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
But that can't be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already... We didn't find poison on there, unfortunately.
Forgotten already, have we, Yoko? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever.
Ugh. So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turn out to be a headline-milking red herring. Is that about right? Well... Ah! I know what I need to do, but I'm not sure if I'm able to do it right now. Order, order, order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? Ow. There is an undeniable, obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it. You mean she drank it? Have another look at the photograph here, as you can see. A bottle of carbonated water and a glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped into either. So somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already.
Hold it!
Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you. Me? What on earth does he mean? Ooh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is. It would seem that this trial is not destined to end yet, after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot at that magnificent beard, Your Excellency. You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a journal, and I'm a man. I've never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. Doubt, 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 and I'm not about to start now, because that's many-memoism. For a brief moment, I thought I illuminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial going to take us? I don't know, but this might be the last testimony, so we should be fine. Maybe. Complete innocence. Yep, the music's picked up. Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman, and it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I had already poisoned her? To frame someone else. When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts were going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. Okay, sir, you seem to also have a thing, you seem to have some kind of hatred with, Mr. Giselle, too. So, you admit to it, then, that everything happened as I described. That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen. You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and let murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back, I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. Another assassin that will kill the assassin who will kill the assassin who killed the assassin. As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told,
I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right. You guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart.
You're implicating Ray again.
She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap! This journal here is off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison himself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
And therefore, this reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical.
That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last.
This is unbelievable. And after I made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he going to get away with it now? Whew. Alright, breaths, deep breaths. I think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They've never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel.
Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial.
Oh, man. Whew. Yes, Your Excellency.
Oh my goodness. Complete innocence. Yeah, sure it is.
The label appears to be written in a foreign language that I don't know.
It's German, so your knowledge of English is going to be of little help here, I'm afraid.
Couldn't you just have written medicine on it in Japanese? Then we'd all be able to read it.
German is the international language of medicine, my dear. But yes, I can certainly see the merit in labeling the bottle in Japanese. Though I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate. Okay, I still can't do whatever this is yet. Ugh, okay. There's definitely poison inside that pen. I just can't do anything yet.
Hold it!
Also, I will drink water. So, you do admit that you had murderous intentions towards Miss Brett, then?
Ha! The woman's very existence offended my sense of justice. To make him lick the pen.
Your sense of... He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation?
She was pure evil, a cold-blooded killer who committed murder right here on our empire's soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance. So I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice. Put things right for the people. Yes, it's my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it.
So, in summary, murderous intentions then.
Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. That English woman was a blight. So I had to do what was right for society. Who made you in charge, sir?
Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl in the dock. A crime for which she must pay.
Obviously, because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all.
Hold it!
So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim?
Obviously, that'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you were already wearing braces like these.
The accused administered the poison, following which this witness stabbed the victim.
An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. The crime rests on the accused's shoulder.
The accused? This is how the law works, you see, Yoko? Who knows? You may even learn something here today.
2 consecutive attempts on her life in a space of minutes. Quite a day for the victim. Do something that evil and you've got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning.
That's not the kind of law this court upholds.
You will reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim then, witness. I like how Soseki is still just chilling out up there, like, he's done his testimony, but he's just forced to stand there.
What exactly were they arguing about?
About what happened in the restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. The student girl was laying into the Englishwoman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson, that's not what she was talking about, I don't think. A professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikotoba, no less. Right, but the Englishwoman just jeered. Her case has to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, there is little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman. It was eating that student girl up inside. You could see it. I really felt for her. Hold it! Hold it! I think this is Ray.
I can't stand here and listen to this tripe.
Ray!
Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whatever you feel like whenever you feel like it. I can and I will. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen.
But this awful man is making all this up. Susato, please, you have to make them listen.
Return to the dock at once, Membambi-san. We are in the middle of a cross-examination.
Hold it.
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness.
Exactly. He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom.
Whoa, take it easy there.
Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say.
Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks. I will grant the request of the defense. But Your Excellency! Ouch, she's just not winning. This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison.
Hold it!
The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean?
I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson.
That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed by the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true! I pestered Professor Mikotoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. Why do you care so much about the poison in the first place, Oseki? But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we've been developing, you see? And since Oseki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away, other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a similarly terrible experience with a deadly oh, okay, I understand. With a deadly poison. I now understand. I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that.
To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government, even. It would be a complete disaster.
And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns?
She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually.
Ah, yes. Many Memo-san, one small question if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy?
Clearly, you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Huh, sorry, don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, look at this. The entire article is almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word.
Huh! Well, Many Memo-san. As a journal and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of Many Memoism. Father's clearly right about this. The reporter did write that article and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. Okay, poison article, poison universe, Mane Mome, I did it again. Many Memo-san based it on the information gleaned from eavesdropping.
So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her.
Huh, shut up! My stories never stink! No, but you stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want it to go on record. Boy, you're sweating a lot. Very well, you may amend your formal testimony. Calm down, sir. I'm also tired, but you're also not reading for multiple characters. The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to go and stab the person as well.
Hold it!
Perhaps you doubted the efficiency of the poison and sought to make sure your victim would die. That's horse done. What? That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you even tasted it. Completely reckless. Although, it might surprise you to learn that I am a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer, as it happens. Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to have been a good reason for that. If it was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly, he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut. Yes, that's undeniable. But between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation. Sorry? What changed? The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman. Yes, that's it. That's when Many Memo first found out the exact nature of the poison he used. That could be the key there. If the victim had unwittingly taken the poison already, the reporter would have had no reason to stab her. And on the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable. But there's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder. If we could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning, I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for. Yes, I agree. And in order to do that, I must try to glean more information. Okay. Either I'm presenting the newspaper article, or I'm presenting the autopsy. The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to go and stab someone as well. Unless you're trying to hide your tracks. And I'm trying to figure out if I've got to present a newspaper, or, what is it? The newspaper or the post-mortem report. Is it the article itself? I'm going through the Japanese thing just to check. Yes, it is.
Objection!
I was on track. Well, I can think of one reason. What? What? But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean at the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut?
Of course he did! There can be no question of that! After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin.
And there is one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Memami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Where are you going with this? Where are you going with this, Counsel?
Memo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison whilst the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Memami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison.
At which point, Memo-san overheard some worrying information.
Worrying information? What worrying information?
The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy and that it couldn't be readily obtained. Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could have come from is my lab. And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death.
The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable.
In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people.
Oh!
Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Memami-san being no exception. Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson, unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you! Reiton Memo!
Gah!
Pursuit theme! It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day. And it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake.
Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable.
Get him! As you listened in from a far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learnt of these facts. But you already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involves stabbing the victim in the back through the read screen.
But what good could that possibly do?
Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect. Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he? Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison used, no one would ever have suspected. This is extraordinary. Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back. Order! 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 The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward?
Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely.
Objection!
Okay, give me your counter-argument, sir. The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he is clinging to lost hope.
Lost hope?
My god, the savagery from Susato. Hold it! Oh! Ah, you pathetic, useless, fallen samurai.
Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My beginning growth is I don't need
a counter-argument. What are you talking about? It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Gave it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? I'm presenting the pen? Yes, you make it all sound plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all there. In my memos, every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Shoyu News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed by the government. Indeed, all visitors in the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. How's that then? Blown the story wide open? See? I write in mini memo, a mere reporter for the Shoyu News. Couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory. Ah! But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case, as you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? Well, I appreciate that you put handsome in the insult. My point is, there is one way that you, Many Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day. Are you ready? I have heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question? His damn pen. The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen. A fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant? These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousand of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now. Hey, a history. Bah, I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad. Yeah, a fad. Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Also, thank you for the follow. Suck up a soup con of sumptuous ink and one's work is awash with the words in a blink of an eye. That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, in which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later. What does all this talking of sucking up ink have? Oh! Can we stop talking about sucking up things, though? And just as it's possible to suck ink up into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course. My word. Can this really be? Well, Many Memo-san. When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? You suck it up to the English woman. By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir. Yeah! More absurdity! That never happened! true. We've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places? No, I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say. I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Memo-san. Sir? So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped? Are you suggesting... The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass.
Attention! There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using this pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand. Objection.
No, that can't be. Also, this case is insanely exhausting for my voice. You have three very obnoxiously shouty characters. You have Raiten, you have Soseki, and then Ouchi. No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink?
What?
As you can see for yourself, if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. Also, I will drink now. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir and had been emptied into the victim's glass. Ugh. Witness, what do you have to say in your defense? So this is how our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pen snaps? I can always claw my way back into the games. I have plenty in reserve. Are you like Wolverine now with pencils? Oh, sir! Ah! He's throwing pencils now! You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen. That's wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. It looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends on whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. Ha! No such evidence could possibly exist. Oh, are you sure about that? Memo-san, this is how our modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you. Very well then. I call upon the defense to present the affirmation evidence. This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. The defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison. Boom!
Take that!
Counsel, what is that bottle? This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question.
Ah!
Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Why are we developing poisons in the first place? Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. The reagent? What? One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Memo-san, is all it will take. to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. I won't.
Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat.
Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once. There he goes! This isn't my fault. The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold its head high in a civilized nation, bowing to its foreign power. I took up the arms on the battlefield. Justice, righteousness, many memo! Let's go!
Susato, with me!
I'm there.
Hey-ya!
God, there's so much. There was so much.
Did I do it right? That was the Susato takedown, wasn't it?
Not quite. That was a Ryotaro takedown. Nice. Nice. Oh, you know what's great? I could probably... Hold on. We could actually read it since we have a log now. Let's see what he's been saying this whole time. The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold its head high as a civilized nation, but bowing its head to every foreign power's whim. I took my arms in the form of the mighty pen. I fought tirelessly on the battlefield with news, all in the name of justice and righteousness. Yes, many memoism is the paragon of justice. And then he just keeps going many more. Many more. Oh my goodness, that's so much. The instant the first drop of the regent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. Many. When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, the devil got a hold of me, and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Minimomi-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up.
Then why did the Englishwoman end up dead?
I went into that hut intending to quiz her on the situation, that's all. As a reporter. A known killer, enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face!
Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism? Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways. You ignorant plebeian.
What did you call me? I mean, it could be worse, Minimomi. She could be calling you a monkey. That was in the original translation.
This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, it's really very depressing. You see, our superior ways in the West. Yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from.
Yeah, that would piss anybody off. That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at that time. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journal spirit, getting all fired up. Karma's a bitch, and it caught up with Giselle, just saying. I'd like to ask you something. Yes? You often talk about justice. But surely, as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There is no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up. That's what it was.
A cover-up? What do you mean?
I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful what you say. Oh, come on! Doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national. Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet the puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunwet as a free woman. The only possible explanation is that, behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan.
What sort of deal?
I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. He came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself?
Let's not forget, Minimemo-san, that you committed murder yourself, and you tried to lay the blame on the defendant's door, at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett.
What?
The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all.
I suppose. Oof. It would appear that... this is not the English judge. It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Oh! Yes, sorry, Your Excellency.
Just musing in a manly way here. Yes, very manly. It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it's very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits.
Oh, Naruhodo-san. Ryunosuke, you mean?
The way he handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handled this one, it gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land.
That's very flattering, Your Excellency.
Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. What a nice judge.
Thank you.
So, Prosecutor Aochi, do you have any final thoughts? Oh no.
Prosecutor Aochi?
I, Taketsuchi, of the Aochi clan, have been bested by a callow youth not once now, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today.
Aochi, no. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it?
Silence!
Sir, you don't have to do this.
Rather than living on in shame. I will end it all now with this blade. For that is the true path to Aochiism.
Aochiism?
One hopes that's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Oh dear. Aochi? Aochi, you don't have to. Okay.
Sprig of my topknot, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Taketsuchi.
Sir. Sir, you don't...
Ah!
Sir! Oh, sir. Sir. Prayer hands. Prayer hands, everyone. I know there's a prayer emote. Everyone pray for Ouchie's top knot. Pray. Or press F for his top knot. That works too. F for his top knot. Now, in regard to the defendant, remember me, son.
Yes, Your Excellency.
I have reached my verdict. I hereby find you not guilty. Cherry blossoms! Yay! We did it! And now we go back to England because this is the only time we're in the Japanese courts. Court is adjourned. We've only been in the Japanese court like twice. Be taken to Nirvana. Oh, bless. 13th of August, 2:38 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature Defendants Antechamber 3. It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility. Such a great burden to bear. I'm gonna get a drink of water. That indeed, and I want to give Naruhodo a hug. Don't they, Naruhodo-san?
Susato! Susato! Thank you. Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Ray and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry.
You're already crying.
It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say that the congratulations belongs to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over, so no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... what? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryotaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to Milk Bar tomorrow. Or something.
Right. I see. I'll, think about it, Ray.
At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man, and it felt so good.
Yes, it was satisfying.
It really was. Isn't there anybody else we could throw together?
Ray, no! No! I hope you're not looking at me, Ray.
Oh, my goodness! No, of course not! Of course not!
Ah, there it is at last. Ray's lovely smile. You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help.
Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryotaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikotoba now.
So, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame.
Ray! What? What is happening? Soseki-san and Inspector Hosonaga, I do hope you've been keeping well. Is that really you? You need to up your disguises, Hosonaga. Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me, Susato Mikotoba. So dashing, so divine. No! Doubly dashing, yes, and devilishly divine. Just look at you. I had no idea, Miss Susato-san Esquires, that you were locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin. Oh, You picked the wrong thing to focus on, Soseki!
Astonishing! Astounding! Ace Attorney!
Oh, he said it too! He said Ace Attorney. What a nerd. Poor Soseki-san. So confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author. I'm stunned. That's a truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea. And I'm a chief inspector at the police bureau. Who came up with the Mr. Turtle, no less? I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just two, really. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime event. I hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector. Well, I am a professional, of course. I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes. I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. No! Why would you flash that picture? Why would you flash that at me? I hate this! I hate you all! Though that didn't help, you did it, Kazuma-sama. How dare that thing flash that image at me? From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth has been forever lost. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that the English woman committed at the end of last year. Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes, the man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter. With Mr. Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean. Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. Ah! My arch-nemesis! How lightly you utter his name! Well, according to the stories published about him in The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes. A best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. Yeah, Eugen! Kinda odd, isn't it, huh, sir? Anyway, I love how he's just okay while we're talking about this. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. Yeah, let's talk about this with Mikotoba. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again. As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Yes, grandmother told me about it. On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yuma University. But I also served another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. Yes, I was aware of that as well. In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. Thanks, Dad. Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? Yeah! Why did you? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you collapsed from a high fever, and you were growing weaker by the day.
What? Where did that news come from?
That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I find you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way? Or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of. Dear me. Do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't— Ah! Let me go! Hi, sir! Me too.
Many Memo-san. So, one throw wasn't enough for you.
I've got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor! Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate. Visiting student Giselle Brett, you mean? No, not her! The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago! What? Student of law? He must mean Kazuma-sama. What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never— Ah! And he's blasting off again. Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. Hi, Judge! What were you officers playing at? Terribly sorry, sir, Your Excellency. Judge toss, judge takedown. I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Yujin, and it's a good job I came by. No more spoilers. Yes, thank you for dealing with him, and I'll be there shortly.
Oh, Your Excellency.
The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seshiro Jigoku. Well, he said the name. Seshiro Jigoku. He is here. May I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken a more dashing appearance. Susato. Oh, he knew.
Did you know all along? From the start of the trial?
Judge, she's everything, Susato. I couldn't let you take the risk. If Seshiro here hadn't known, and then he'd recognize you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seshiro, shall we? Yes! Having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father.
Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Father, stop holding secrets from me!
Oh, thank you very much.
What did you think of my Seshiro sling? Seshiro sling! It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Helen friend, what a beautiful friendship of combination there.
Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett, about Dr. Wilson, and now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime, when nobody else is around.
Judicial Assistant Mikatoba-san, Esquires, could I have a word?
Oh, yes, of course, Soseki-san. What is it?
I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you.
Oh?
I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England.
This I have to hear. Please, Soseki-san, tell me at once.
I will! He's so excitable. As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experience to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Then next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikatoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. My father? He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent a telegram to you asking you to return to Japan. What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in. Case 2-2. I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those 2 terrible cases I was caught up in? Of course. I could never forget. Your father seemed concerned himself mainly with the second case. The second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public? We just did that case already, so hey! Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first. Well, I don't care! I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says! Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. The horrific, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodging. That case somehow caused my father to summon me back urgently back to Japan. I thought that whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told. End? Cutscene? End or cutscene?
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Okay, we made it to the end. Whoa! Susato's assessed. Okay, hold on a second, because I wanted to do another giveaway. It's been a while, but that's just because